Plain and simple, it's not too late. In fact, in some ways, the fact that it's been years makes this work even more important and timely. Here's what I've seen. When people don't fully process their divorce, they don't just stay stuck, they adapt to being stuck. They build a life around the wound. They create coping mechanisms and routines and identities that accommodate the unresolved pain. And years pass, and they think they've moved on, but they haven't. They've just gotten used to operating at a diminished capacity. The anxiety is still there. They've just learned to manage it. The disconnection is still there. They've just stopped noticing it. The patterns that destroyed their marriage, those are still running in the background, showing up in their business, their relationships, their health. Time doesn't heal all wounds. Time just makes us forget you're wounded. So if your divorce was years ago and you're watching this video, let me ask you, why now? What made you click? What's still unresolved? Because something brought you here. Something in you knows that you never fully dealt with what happened. That you've been carrying weight you shouldn't still be carrying. And that there's a version of yourself you still haven't become. That knowing, that's the signal. That's the part of you that refuses to settle for the diminished life you've been living. And here's the good news. The work still works. It doesn't matter if your divorce was 2 years ago or 10 years ago. The body still holds what hasn't been processed. The patterns still run until they're interrupted. The identity still needs to be rebuilt. In some ways, people who come to this work years later have an advantage. The initial chaos has settled. The survival mode intensity has faded. They can approach the work with more stability and perspective. What they often discover is this: the fog they thought was just how life is, that lifts. The low-grade anxiety they thought was permanent, that releases. The sense that something's been missing, that gets filled. Not because they finally found something outside themselves, but because they finally reconnected with what was inside all along. So no, it's not too late. You're actually right on time. The question is whether you're going to let more years pass or whether this is the moment you finally do what you've been putting off. Can't wait to see you on the other side.